Something crazy is about to hit silver. There are three issues coming at the silver price here, and I'm going to break these three issues down for you in this video. Let's start. This is from FX Empire, and the headline reads, Silver Price Forecast, Silver Continues Volatility. And this author starts by showing his silver market analysis. Now, check this out. He says that the silver market was crushed during the trading session on Friday after the PPI number came out 4 times hotter than it was supposed to be. And this is one of the greatest struggles for silver, because we see the pattern that silver follows, and all we can do often is cross our fingers and hope that that pattern falls through. But it fell through on Friday with the PPI number. This article says here, it says this is a complete reversal of the CPI numbers from the day before, which were half of what they needed to be. In general, this is a market that I think, this is the author, that I think continues to see a lot of volatility. And at this point in time, check this out, the $30 level underneath, and he's referring it to the short-term floor here. Now, if you're new to silver stacking, this is really important to look at, because the floor is the lowest price that we expect silver to drop to. And $30 is actually very exciting. I mean, we've spent the past 2 years with, what, a $21, maybe when we were lucky, a $22 floor. So a $30 floor is very strong. We still have this strong level. He says the 50-day EMA reaches toward the $30 level, and I think that offers a pretty significant floor. In general, this is a market, this is according to this author, this is a market that has been very noisy over the last couple of weeks, but very positive. This shot across the bow is exactly what you need to see if you are bullish on silver, due to the fact that you don't want to be buying at the top. Nobody wants to have that feeling of buying at the top. But presently, to buy at the top is, what, $32 an ounce before premiums? I mean, he's talking about that buying at the top. It's really not that painful. But look at what's coming at silver. This is from Reuters. And this article says some Chinese precious metals firms grow wary of doing business with Russia on sanction fears. And what's happening is that the dollar, we're not really seeing a weaponization of the dollar regarding China and silver, but what we are seeing is sanctions being used as that weapon. And sorry, I'm just trying to make this so that you can see it clearly. This article starts by saying some Chinese precious metals companies are showing increased caution when it comes to cooperating with counterparts from Russia for fear of sanctions imposed by Western countries. And this article says Russia is a major producer of metals, including aluminum, copper, nickel, gold, and platinum group metals, and has stepped up its trading relations with China in the aftermath of its war in Ukraine. Now, what we've seen this last month, as this article shows, is that China is really changing its game with metals. China was all in, it still is, all in hoarding gold, just stockpiling gold for the past 3 to 5 years. And that clearly impacted our price of gold here in the States, which in turn impacts our price of silver. Silver always follows. When gold gets a big jump, silver is short to follow. And we've seen that time and again. We just saw this starting 3 months ago when gold got a big bump. And that was clearly related to China hoarding gold. Now, China, at the same time, this past year, in 2024, has been going all in on silver. They are desperate to be at the top of the game for any electronic device requiring silver. They want electric vehicles, they want to be at the top. Solar panels, they want to be at the top. So they need silver. And interestingly, of course, with the struggle in China's economy, they've slowed down in buying this past month. They've slowed down in buying precious metals and gold and silver. But I don't feel confident that their game is over. I mean, this is just a breather. I mean, they are really a sleeping giant at this moment. Let's keep going. This article says, last month, the U.S. imposed sanctions on several Hong Kong firms for aiding trade in gold produced by an already sanctioned Russian miner. The U.S. Treasury Department said at the same time that foreign firms helping Russia's war economy now face greater risk of sanctions. Check it out. It's right there. Greater risk of sanctions. And companies feel that, right? These are Chinese companies that are being interviewed in this article. I'm not going to go through all of it, but there are several Chinese firms that deal with precious metals, and they were trying to work with Russia, and they're already afraid of sanctions. Here's another. This says from MSN.com, and this is a quite conservative media outlet. So it's always good to see silver being top of mind with something like MSN.com. And this headline reads, geopolitical tensions propel silver demand to new heights amid supply challenges. Now, this article starts off by noting some data from the Silver Institute right here. Look at this. It says, the Silver Institute's forecast indicates that silver demand is expected to grow by about 2% from 2023 to 2024, reaching around 1,219 tons. And for those of us that have been in this silver game for some time, we know that that's a very conservative estimate. And watching what China is doing to get their hands on silver, we know that the demand is just skyrocketing. They say here the industrial demand is projected to hit a record high of 710 tons, driven by an 8.5% increase compared to 2023, and a remarkable, look at this, 40%, I'll make that highlighted for you so you can see it clearly, 40% rise since the pandemic. 40%. Those are strong numbers. Now, the issues coming at our silver price are highlighted here. This says that recent data indicates a 70% probability of a rate cut. Can you believe that we're almost at September? We've been talking about a September rate cut for months, but look at how fast 2024 is flying by. We're almost at September for this. Cross your fingers that hopefully this rate cut in September. And if not, we could, again, hold our breath and see if something happens in December. But those are our options for 2024. That's how fast this is flying by. This author says that investor sentiment remains cautious due to ongoing geopolitical events and weak economic indicators from the U.S., further supporting silver prices. Silver has an inverse relationship to the strength of our U.S. economy. When our economy shows strength, people take more risks. They feel confident that they could play with their money more. When economic indicators show that the economy is contracting and people feel uncertain, they don't take those risks. And it's very simple. That's the inverse relationship. They don't take risks. They put their money into that safe store of wealth, precious metals, and silver specifically. This article says that domestic imports have surged by approximately 4,000 tons, while modest exchange-traded the ETFs flows and speculative buying are providing additional price support for silver. The report highlights how ongoing conflicts and economic uncertainty, notably since the Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022, have increased the premiums in financial markets, making safe haven assets more appealing to investors. And those conflicts are just clearly getting worse. Now, the part that we really need to look at as silver stackers, and this is a real issue that all of us, we could do this research on our own, is when we look at the upcoming election. Because any major election that we are seeing, and you can see here I highlighted in blue that this article is talking about this election year, but any election year causes uncertainty. And we could see, even if you look back at every presidential election, just look at the past 3 presidential elections, you could see that silver and gold get a big change in price. Now, what I think we could easily do as silver snackers is we could just, instead of crossing our fingers and holding our breath and hoping for the best of what comes out for this election year, this election that's going to happen in we're in July, August, September, right? We're like 3 months away. We can see how precious metals changed in our last election. We could just look at the charts available in silver and see how the silver price changed and exactly how many months it took for that to change prior to these major elections, these presidential elections. Now, of course, for what we have coming up, I mean, this is an unusually nerve-wracking election that we have here in the States. We've seen huge shifts in France, huge shifts in Britain with those elections. But what we have coming down the pike is really, I can't think of any other election in my lifetime where people have been so stressed out and just so anxious and uncertain about this disruption. Whenever people feel that, they always turn to silver as a safe store of wealth. It happens time and again. And it is exactly what we see coming down the pike for us.